The invoice was only $40. It was the last payment a hardworking single dad needed to buy medicine for his little daughter before the weekend. But the wealthy construction company laughed off the request, delayed the payment, and treated him like someone whose time and dignity meant nothing. 3 days later, that same unpaid $40 invoice became the spark that exposed the disaster, froze a $12 million project, and changed countless lives forever. If you believe kindness always comes back, that every honest person deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to SoulTales for more emotional stories that remind us humanity is never wasted. Ethan Brooks was 36 years old and had spent the last 5 years raising his 8-year-old daughter Lily alone after losing his wife to cancer. Every morning before sunrise he prepared Lily's breakfast, braided her hair as best as he could despite never learning properly, packed her school lunch, and then headed to whatever construction or repair job he could find. Life had become a careful balance between paying rent, buying groceries, and making sure Lily never felt the weight of the sacrifices he silently carried. He wasn't rich, powerful, or connected. He was simply a father trying to keep one promise alive: that his daughter would never lose hope, no matter how hard life became. That week had been especially difficult. Lily had developed a severe chest infection, and the doctor prescribed medication costing just under $40. Ethan had already completed a small emergency electrical inspection for one of the city's largest luxury developers. The work had taken nearly an entire day and prevented a possible wiring issue from delaying construction. The payment was modest, only $40, but it was enough to buy the medicine immediately. When Ethan visited the company's accounting office, he expected a routine payment. Instead, he was told the paperwork would have to wait. One employee dismissed him without even checking the files. Another suggested he should stop bothering them over such a small amount. Security eventually escorted him outside after he politely insisted he had completed every requirement. Ethan walked away with empty hands, forcing himself not to lose his temper because he knew anger would never help Lily. That evening he returned home carrying only a bag of groceries purchased with the last few dollars in his wallet. He smiled for Lily, pretending everything was fine, but after she fell asleep he quietly sat beside her bed wondering how long one person could keep carrying disappointment without breaking. The following morning, Ethan received a call from an old coworker asking if he could review electrical blueprints for another project nearby. During his inspection, something immediately caught his attention. The luxury tower being built by the same company that refused to pay him had recently changed contractors, and someone had ignored critical safety recommendations Ethan had documented during his original inspection. A temporary power distribution system had been overloaded far beyond safe capacity. Ethan knew exactly what that meant. If left untouched, a single equipment failure could destroy millions of dollars in machinery, delay the opening for months, and possibly injure workers. He hesitated. The company had humiliated him over $40. Nobody would blame him for walking away. Yet every face he imagined belonged not to executives but to electricians, crane operators, welders, cleaners, and laborers who simply wanted to return home safely to their families. That afternoon Ethan anonymously reported the safety concern to the city inspection department, attaching photographs and technical notes he had carefully saved during his earlier visit. He didn't include his name. He wasn't looking for revenge or recognition. He only wanted to prevent innocent people from getting hurt. 2 days later, city inspectors arrived unexpectedly. Within hours, the entire project was shut down. Further investigation uncovered years of ignored safety shortcuts, falsified maintenance reports, unauthorized material substitutions, and multiple electrical violations that extended far beyond Ethan's original discovery. Insurance providers suspended coverage. Investors immediately withdrew funding. Government agencies launched separate investigations. By the end of the third day, financial analysts estimated delays, penalties, contract cancellations, and legal settlements would cost the developer over $12 million. News spread across the city. Executives desperately searched for the anonymous inspector whose report had triggered everything. Eventually, they traced the technical documentation back to Ethan. The same accounting manager who refused to process his $40 invoice now requested an urgent meeting. Ethan almost declined, but curiosity convinced him to listen. Inside the executive boardroom, the atmosphere felt completely different from the dismissive office where he had been ignored only days earlier. Senior executives apologized repeatedly for the treatment he had received. They admitted that if his report had arrived even one day later, an electrical failure could have caused catastrophic damage and possibly taken lives. The unpaid invoice suddenly seemed insignificant compared to what his honesty had prevented. Ethan accepted the overdue $40 without showing anger. He simply folded the receipt and placed it in his pocket. Then he quietly explained something none of them expected. He hadn't submitted the report because they deserved saving. He submitted it because the workers did. Silence filled the room. For perhaps the first time in years, those executives realized that integrity could not be measured by someone's income, job title, or clothing. Several weeks later, the company completely restructured its safety department under independent supervision. Every employee involved in ignoring reports or mistreating contractors was investigated. New policies required all vendors and workers to be paid promptly regardless of invoice size. Mandatory ethics training became part of every manager's responsibilities. Word about Ethan spread far beyond that single company. Other businesses learned about the electrician who chose honesty instead of revenge. Soon, reputable engineering firms began offering him work. One company even invited him to lead electrical safety inspections across several major developments because they valued his character more than any resume. For the first time in years, Ethan had stable income, health insurance, and enough savings to stop worrying every time Lily needed new shoes or school supplies. But the greatest reward arrived months later. One Saturday morning, Lily accompanied her father to a community event honoring local workers who had prevented workplace accidents. During the ceremony, several construction workers approached Ethan one after another. They thanked him. One admitted that he had been working exactly where the faulty electrical equipment was installed. Another said his brother would have been operating nearby machinery the day inspectors shut everything down. A third hugged Ethan with tears in his eyes because he believed Ethan had unknowingly saved his life. Ethan realized something extraordinary. The $40 had never really mattered. What mattered was refusing to let bitterness make decisions. Choosing integrity when nobody was watching had protected families he would never fully know. That evening, Ethan and Lily sat together on a quiet park bench watching the sunset. Lily handed her father a small drawing she had made at school. It showed the two of them holding hands beneath a simple sentence written in colorful pencil. "Heroes don't wear capes. They keep people safe." Ethan smiled through tears. Years of struggle, loneliness, unpaid bills, sleepless nights, and silent sacrifices suddenly felt lighter because his daughter already understood the lesson life had taken him decades to learn. Real wealth isn't measured by bank accounts. It's measured by the lives you protect, the promises you keep, and the kindness you choose even when the world gives you every reason not to. Before we reach the end, tell us in the comments, if you were in Ethan's place, would you have walked away, or would you have reported the danger anyway? We'd truly love to read your thoughts. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that honesty and kindness still matter, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to SoulTales. Your support helps us continue sharing inspiring stories that bring hope to people around the world. Sometimes the smallest unpaid debt reveals the biggest failure of character. And sometimes the person the world considers least important becomes the very one who saves everyone else. Ethan never became a millionaire overnight, and he never sought revenge against those who looked down on him. Instead, he proved that true strength is found in choosing compassion over bitterness and responsibility over pride. In the end, the company lost $12 million because it ignored honesty, but countless families kept their loved ones because one single dad refused to ignore what was right. That is a victory far greater than money could ever buy.